All right, it's week one of the regular season. The Bills getting ready for the Jets. Dan Fates in Buffalo. Mike Catalana. I'm Jenna Cottrell. All right, Dan, we'll start with you at practice today. The Bills are getting ready to face a different team, another team, not themselves. A big week ahead. What's the vibe like there in Buffalo?
I thought it was interesting. Jerry Hughes yesterday called this whole offseason kind of more like back to college, where you didn't really get to hit anybody else but yourselves. And so they're excited to hit another team. But there's a lot of uncertainty. I feel like all offseason, teams have been really focused on what's going on inside their building, whether it's testing, whether it's their depth chart, whether it's how they're going to fill a 16-man practice squad, all of those things. And now all of a sudden that you have to quickly turn that page and now focus on another team that you also haven't seen in 6 months. So it's a weird vibe there where, Sean McDermott, very stoic, Mike. Like, would we call this regular season McDermott press conference?
Without question. He's been great during the offseason, but today he closed those ranks, man. He wasn't giving away anything. That is an interesting dynamic they have with 3 different players starting at right tackle and Cody Ford starting at 2 different positions. Dan, how are they pulling that one off?
Cody Ford is one heck of a player.
For those who don't know, the team puts out a depth chart on the Wednesday. I don't think, I used to say it's worth the paper it's printed on, but the space it takes up on your computer, because, they say it, but I don't know exactly how accurate they are. But, Jenna, don't you think it's kind of interesting they've held on to this whole right side of the offensive line thing all the way up to now?
I mean, I thought today we would at least get some clarity, but Sean McDermott is really keeping this very close to the vest, which you got to laugh at. I wrote a Buffalo Plus article about it. It's very Bill Belichickian of McDermott. But yeah, I mean, I think it's been a little bit more consistent in practice, and Dan, you might be able to talk to that a little bit more. But the fact that he is not letting that information out there at all, I mean, you talk about a little gamesmanship, a little advantage. He really doesn't want to hold on to any secrets. But Dan, what have you seen in practice? You can be as vague, but also as specific as possible.
Yeah, I thought they went pretty hard today. I think that, they obviously had off yesterday, meaning Tuesday. I thought they went, the media got to watch about 40 minutes of practice. So that was more than I thought we were going to see. And they went through all their individual drills, and then they went to goal line, what they do with the quarterback, and then 1 wide receiver, 1 corner. And they went full bore for about another 10 minutes. Trey White and Stephon Diggs went head-to-head twice. Each got the better of one another, but pretty intense for not really being in pads. Josh didn't look great on some of his deep throws, and he was upset about it. He was kind of kicking himself on some deep throws that he missed.
Hold on, Dan. I think you're giving some stuff away. Josh Allen and Trey White and Stephon Diggs are all starters?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wonder if the Jets know. Janet, yeah, you know what I was thinking of for both of you guys? Especially on these Wednesdays. So everybody's bouncing around the locker room, normal year, and you could talk to different players at different times if they're available. It's a lot easier to keep things under wraps in 2020. Yep. Every interview, whether we get it, obviously through the Bills media relation, they can set up other players. But it's all done on Zoom, and they're there, and everybody knows what's going on. There's no conversations on the side now like there used to be to at least get a little extra information. So I think it's a little easier. And I'm wondering on Sunday, not just in the Bills game, but we're focusing on that. Does somebody come out with something very different? Some sort of offensive formation, something they do, especially a team like the Jets that has, way less stability. Like, you don't know what they're going to come. I'm not saying they're going to the wing T here and they're going to put 3 guys in the backfield. But do you think there's a chance that somebody pulls off something like that this week?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think that this is before good organizations would only allow stuff out that they wanted to. And I think now all organizations can do that. I think even New England was talking about they're going to do a 2-quarterback system, and then Cam's the starter, and then Cam Newton is now a captain, and all those things. So messages that are getting out now more than ever are getting out for a reason. And I do think, Mike, you make a great point of if the Jets want to throw a wrinkle. I know I saw some tweets that Le'Veon Bell was practicing with the second team early on in training camp. And that was like, whoa, what's going on? I think there is definitely some concern that because the media and everything has been so closed for this 2020 NFL training camp season, Could some team bring an interesting wrinkle to the package? I think is really interesting.
I mean, I could definitely see that being the case. And I
You
think
know what it is? It is. It's heaven for the paranoid coaches of the NFL. This is like, oh, this is so good. I can blame COVID for everything and not tell you anything. And they're going to love that, right? And you know what? It's going to even extend beyond this week, because while we'll see guys on the field, certain things that are going on during the week, they'll be able to keep under wraps.
I think they'll love that aspect. I don't think they're going to love the 70 decibels of crowd noise. I don't think that's like for the games, you know, I haven't heard what 70 decibels compares to, but it sounds like it'll be not drowning out any type
Correct.
of offense audible or anything like that. So I think that is something, well, coaches can have a lock on what gets out there during the week. On Sundays, I know coaches are going to be concerned about that. And I mean, Dan, what has been the output or the input, from players about playing in an atmosphere that is going to be in Buffalo, at least we know for the first 2 weeks, without fans?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting. I think the best comparison, I think we've already talked about it before, but it's Dawson Knox comparing this to the NFL Combine, where you're going to have an empty stadium. And Jen, I did hear a podcast, Warren Sharp of Sharp Analytics, really smart guy. He talks about 70 decibels is about like classroom noise. So like, it's not going to block out anything. And it's interesting because I think it's going to help the defense as much as it's going to help offenses too. Josh Allen was on a podcast just recently on Barstool Sports, and he was talking about how it's helpful because when you're at home, the offense can make checks and changes up until the play clock's running down. But then when they're on defense, the Bills defense has trouble communicating too because the crowd is so loud. So you're also getting a benefit. While it may hurt, the paranoid offensive coordinators, it's going to help the defenses that are able to communicate, especially guys like Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, who are, pretty big students of the game.
Yeah, I said something to you guys a few weeks ago about using silent counts, and I actually heard two coaches talk about it, reference it, and I think they said it, and I don't know if they really wanted to put it out there, but the way they answered the question was like somebody was asking about, well, you normally have to use the silent count and all, and he started to talk, and he was like, maybe for this reason, we would use nonverbal communication because we don't want everybody to know. And to Jenna's point, not just this week, but next week, the week after, because they're going to be studying every piece of tape they can get to pick up things from other teams.
And nobody knows what anybody's going to do because you can't go back and look and be like, oh, well, the last time there was a pandemic, teams, ran the ball 65% more. This is completely unknown. And like I said, Sean McDermott saying, we got to control what we can control, and it's universal across the board. That's all true, but it doesn't make it any easier for those paranoid coaches who are also trying to get that edge any way they can.
Now, I remember the 1918 season, and it was nothing like this. So we could be in for something new.
25?
No, don't remember. I don't know. I forget things. So.
All right. Make sure to check out also. So we have, of course, the Buffalo Plus YouTube page. There's buffaloplus.com. There's also a special show we have every Thursday. It's called Let's Talk Football Live. It airs on our 13 Wham Facebook page at 7 o'clock every Thursday. This week, if you live in Rochester, it'll also be on Fox Rochester. It's Dan, Mike, myself. We're talking the Bills. We're talking the Jets. Just every week what the Bills are facing. Make sure to check that out. But for Mike and Dan, I'm Jenna Cottrell. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe and comment as well as we keep things moving. Thanks so much for listening. We'll have more up on buffaloplus.com.